Hello, thank you so much for joining us today for our first Shriner Voice Studio session. Today I am joined by my best friend Lindsay Kate Brown to talk about the career, her journey, and how she's staying motivated during a pandemic. So this video will be split into two parts, so make sure you hit the subscribe button so you get a notification when the second one is available and any other future videos coming up on this channel. Feel free to share, spread it around, and I hope you enjoy. Hello, thank you for joining us today. I am joined by Lindsay Kate Brown, mezzo-soprano, currently at Houston Grand Opera. Lindsay and I went to undergrad together, and then we also went to grad school together, and have been best friends for like 10 years.
10 years, right?
Yeah, 10 years.
2010, so 10 years.
It's been a long time. It's been a very long time. So, tell us about you.
So, Jordan said, I'm a mezzo-soprano, currently living in Houston. I am a third-year studio artist at HGO, and I'm just singing, Singing. I do some teaching on the side. I have some wonderful voice students that I get to hang out with and work on stuff that they need to work on, but also kind of teach myself, which I really enjoy. I have a really awesome family, and, I love dogs. So
I love dogs.
I do some dog stalking on the streets of Houston, but I live a pretty normal, chill life. So.
That's great. Very cool. So tell us about your journey. How did you find school for music? How did you find pursuing a career to be a professional singer? How did you get to this point? Where'd you start?
Okay. So I did music all through school. When I was a kid, I was in band, I was in choir, and I decided my senior year to go into choral education at Mansfield University because I really liked the idea of making music with a group of people and creating music by being a conductor. And so I went to school with the idea that I wanted to be a choral conductor, and then end of my freshman year, my voice teacher, Dr. Randy, was like, your voice is suited for opera. Have you ever thought about singing opera? And I had no idea. I had seen one opera in my life. It was La Boheme. I was in 5th grade. I was adorable, and it was a cute time. I would say it's like,
where was it?
Syracuse.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And they didn't tell us there was like a dress code or anything, so I showed up in a red t-shirt with Velcro, and on the Velcro I wrote "Opera rocks" with an X.
It started early, folks.
Yeah,
I've never heard the story.
Oh, really?
No.
I was a little weirdo back. I mean, I'm still a weirdo, but I was a weirdo.
You can't be a singer and not be weird.
Yeah. So I went to Mansfield, and then I started pursuing opera, and I was in my first opera, Marriage of Figaro, in English, my sophomore year, and then auditioned for performance right before that. Didn't get in.
That's important to talk about.
We should discuss that at some point. And then took the summer, came back, did the opera, reapplied at the end of the winter semester, and got in at the same time you got into performance as well.
Forever. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Very good. So that was Mansfield.
That's Mansfield. Oh wait, there's more, right?
There's
more.
more.
I've gone to plenty of places. So, okay, so then graduated Mansfield, had to make the choice between opera and like choral conducting. And I decided that, if I was going to do the opera thing, I was going to give it the shot that I could and go. And so I applied to a bunch of grad schools, ended up at Binghamton University, SUNY Binghamton, with Jordan also. Was not a resident artist. Do you know what we were called?
Well, there was
like
2 degrees.
Partnership.
Yeah, there was a master's in vocal performance and a master's in opera.
Right.
And we were both admitted into the Masters of Opera program.
Right.
And our thesis was with Tri-Cities Opera, so we didn't have heavy recital requirements.
We did opera
roles for our thesis.
So we did that together, and then I had to decide if I was going to apply to smaller resident artist programs or if I was going to continue to pursue education because my voice needed a little more time to cook. One of my colleagues, one of my mentors, I guess, calls me a slow cooker. So it just means that, we'll talk about it later, but everybody's voice has its own journey. And, some people are ready much sooner than others, just based on the pure fact of what their voice is made up of. And so we knew it was going to take me a little bit longer to be ready. And so I decided to go get an artist diploma at Rice University, where I studied with Dr. Stephen King. And then from there, got in the HGO studio. So I've been there. This is my 3rd year now. So
Exciting.
Yeah.
Very good. What singers have influenced you the most?
Oh gosh. Okay.
Any Fach.
Any Fach. Do they know what Fach is? You all know what Fach is?
In case you don't, it's just like voice classification.
Yeah. We're not swearing.
No.
It's a German word.
F-A-C-H.
It's a German.
Fach.
Fach. Achlau. That's gonna be cute for the kids.
Oh, can't wait. Do it for the kids.
Do it for the kids. Okay, so this is gonna sound super corny, but obviously you.
What?
You.
Oh,
Oh!
that was very kind.
You're welcome. And not just because we're like being interviewed right now, but because you've always, you know, like you've been kind of like the one constant in my life in terms of like
Twins.
the door.
I did.
Sorry.
Oh, but it was perfect.
Thank you. No, you've just always been like the one constant in my life. And if I ever have a technical question, like that happened to me like a week ago when I was freaking out because my tongue was just like life alert tongue.
Can you explain that?
Yes, life alert tongue means it's fallen and it can't get up, so I have tongue tension.
It's my favorite thing you've ever said.
It's a Dr. Kingism.
I love it.
That was my whole first semester. But so Jordan has always been there for me as kind of like my constant as my vocal teacher when I haven't had someone or I haven't been able to reach my current voice teacher or when I just need a set of ears because you know you've heard me since I was
basically
literally 18.
Yeah.
Like my first bouts into opera. And so Jordan and then
Well, that goes both ways.
thank you.
It's always been that way.
But then in terms of like I guess people like not that you're not a household name, but like household names, I guess. Jamie Barton's a big one. She is a mentor of mine, and we sing similar music, and I have covered her in 3 roles. 3 roles. I was supposed to also cover her this summer at Santa Fe, but then because everything got canceled. So I've worked with her 3 times, and she's just an awesome light. She's a amazing advocate for our industry, and I really, really love her. And I appreciate the drama that she brings to the stage.
Powerhouse Jamie Barton.
Yeah, we love her. I'll tag her in this video. I'll make her watch it.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom. So her, Dolores Ojic's a good one, of course. I mean, I'm out of Fach. Dana Domrov, of course. We love her. Gosh, there are so many others. I am a big fan of the baritone voice. I think, other than yourself, you know, I think my favorite Fach is the baritone. You are my exception. I'm very picky about tenors.
Yeah, I don't really listen to tenors.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Oh, you listen to sopranos.
Oh, yeah.
But I love listening to baritones, but there's just too many to like name.
Yeah.
I love Dimitri.
Oh,
Yeah, bless
me
his
too.
soul. Oh, what a
Cool.
voice.
What was your first opera at the Met?
My first opera at the Met was La Donna del Lago, Rossini. That was with you.
It actually was with me, yeah.
And
Jake
Jake
Stamatis.
Hi, Jakey.
Was it just the 3 of us?
I think so.
We drove back in a horrid snowstorm.
They let me drive, which was the
Oh,
which is the worst
I
part.
can still remember.
We survived.
We survived. We are here.
We're here
We're
today.
alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. Okay, great.
But I will say the best part about that was, I mean, obviously we love Joyce Leonardo, but the dueling tenors.
Oh.
Who was that? Do you remember who
It
they were?
wasn't it Juan Diego Flores and
Yes.
John Osborne?
Yes. Holy Moses. Just high flying C's
Just over
everywhere.
in the trio,
like,
they all have a bunch of C's.
yes, and it was just good. You know what I
So
mean?
good.
It wasn't like everybody was reaching to hit them.
Mm-hmm.
It was like we were up and over. We were
We
singing.
love it up and over.
We were using our below belt karate belt.
Oh yes.
Gosh, it was great.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that music, and that is where my obsession with John Osborne started. I love
Really?
John Osborne. I love his
It's
singing.
it's a good voice.
Yeah.
It's a good instrument.
It's really impressive.
Gosh. Okay.
Okay, favorite composer and why?
Okay. I have 2.
Mm.
Okay. My favorite non-living composer is Verdi,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he just writes with so much drama
Mm-hmm.
in his music and in his text. It's just like, yes, you need to be there and be present and be dramatic on stage, but there is so much written into the music already that it kind of services itself in a way. And so I really, really like Verdi. And then living composer is Jake Heggie.
I love that you picked a living composer. That's
Really?
one of your favorites.
Oh,
That's awesome.
I love him.
I do too.
I love Jake because he, one, tells stories that are like more current
Yep.
and that are very specific and like historically based, which I really enjoy. I don't know, I just feel like he displays human emotion in text in a way that a lot of contemporary composers struggle with.
I agree.
I do enjoy contemporary music, and there's a few like contemporary operas. I love Silent Night. Like there's a few that I really, really enjoy, but I think as an overall like holistic composer of like current times, I think Jake is my favorite.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
And the thing you brought up about, speaking to current subjects.
Yes, please.
Is really important. That's what art is. So
absolutely.
Thank you for that. Great. What is something you wish you knew before pursuing this career? A list of 500, I'm sure.
There's a lot. I think Jordan and I were very fortunate going to Mansfield. So I assume that most people watch this. Some people will know what Mansfield is.
Yeah.
I'm sure. But the majority of you don't know. Mansfield University is a small school in northern PA, has a population of 2,500 kids?
Tiny.
Like 2,500 kids throughout the whole campus. One of the best music education programs in the country.
Yeah. Dr. Cheryl Monklin,
Dr.
Peggy Detweiler.
The voice teachers are great.
Incredible voice teachers.
There's a lot of opportunity because it's such a small university that they really let their kids shine, which is really awesome. But so I feel like we were afforded a lot of really smart things because we went to that university.
Yeah.
Specifically because of Dr. Monklin and Dr. Detweiler. They really counted on our professionalism. And so, we got to our masters and had our first rehearsal of opera rehearsal and knew our music cold, and we were ready to go. We knew our translations. We were immensely prepared, and that wasn't the case for everybody, right?
No.
So that is something that we learned in school.
And we speak about probably once a month.
Yeah. Oh, about like unprofessionalism
and unprofessionalism
and
absolutely. How we were blessed to be prepared at a young age.
Yes. I would say one of the things that I wish that I would have known before going into this career is the importance of languages.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay. So for a performance degree, we had to do a semester of language, or a year, a semester or something, or a year without the actual thing. I can't remember what the thing was.
And we're not talking diction classes, we're talking like language.
And I mean, I had a great language teacher. I can't remember. Harmon? I don't know.
I came in
Holtman. Dr. Holtman. I loved him. He was really nice. But that was like the only language that I had. Mm-hmm. That was my only that was the only time I took language. And then I took no languages in my master's other than diction. And then I ended up taking some at Rice. I took a year of Italian and a year of German. But I really wish that there would have been a bigger emphasis on that.
Yep.
Because there is something about a singer who knows the language, not just like caro mio ben means this, but knowing the syntax of language and knowing how to converse in the language, it just makes your communication easier and it makes it fuller, I guess is the way I would describe it.
Totally.
So I think languages would be my top thing. Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else. This is something that you and I agree on, but the importance of technique, vocal technique.
No, just kidding. That's
just because vocal technique is the foundation to be able to do everything else. Obviously you don't want to get up on stage and sound like a robot. Of course, like stand up there and only think about your technique. That's not the point. The point is to use your technique to serve the music that you sing. But if your technique isn't very good, you can't make the artistic choices effectively. Right. You can still make them. Mm-hmm. It just won't be shown to the world. Yeah. It will be more within yourself, and it'll come across to people as just whatever, mush or loud, and that was a big thing that I struggled with for a long time. Because you and I have talked about that, and I'm sure it'll come up at some point. We'll talk about our journeys, and we can talk about it. But
yeah. Well, and the other thing with technique too is that I try to think about for myself and for my students is that I think it's important for us all to have a toolbox of technical things to pull on, especially when we're away from our teachers. Oh, so like when Lindsay's away in Germany or gone, not in the United States or across the United States, now luckily we have FaceTime and all this technology to connect with our teachers, but when we're in the thick of a rehearsal process and we can't get to our teacher, we have to be self-sufficient.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's where I see some of my colleagues struggle, is that they haven't found independence away from their teacher. They don't trust themselves. It's not that they don't know what they're talking about, it's that maybe hasn't been encouraged. And I feel like that's something that you've done really well with.
Oh, thanks. Well, I find that often is that it's not even a lack of knowledge on their part, or on my part. It's not even a lack of knowledge, it's a lack of trusting yourself.
Totally.
Of saying, okay, I'm having an issue, my high notes are not as easy as they usually are. Okay, what am I feeling? Really sitting there singing through it and saying, okay, my tongue is tight. Okay, when my tongue is tight, what are the potential issues? And then diagnosing from there. And that took me a long time to kind of figure out. And I do wish that probably I would have felt more comfortable with myself to do that earlier. Because I've always had the knowledge. It's just been the trusting myself that I can self-diagnose. And I've always had Jordan if I need him. And there's still times that I need him, and for the most part, like
each other. I
can be away from Dr. King. I've been away from him technically since May, but I haven't been in the same room with him since March. Since before I left for the Met. So like middle of February, I haven't been in the same room as him. And it's hard, but you can get through it if you have that toolbox.
Absolutely. I have to give a shout out to Dr. Alyssa Rose at Mansfield University, who is my undergraduate teacher and is still a mentor to me in my teaching and my singing, and my current teacher, Laura Brooks-Rice, who has, in my opinion, kept me going in my teaching and my singing and has helped me continue to build that toolbox. Without her, I'm nothing. So.
I to both of you.
Yes. Great. Anything else on that topic?
Oh, we could go on about that forever.
Let's just put a pin in it. It's pretty good. Okay. What is something you would change in this career for the better?
Okay. So this is a broad answer, but I'll explain. I wish that there was more inclusion. And that's like an extremely broad topic and also an extremely important topic, especially right now. I mean, it should have been an important topic all of the time, but currently it is in the spotlight. And so we want to capitalize on that and really use that to our advantage. I would love to see more of my friends of color making, appearances on stages and not just for a show that requires people of color. I mean, I love Porgy and Bess. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful show, but I don't want that to be their only opportunity to shine. I don't think that's fair.
It can't be.
And so things like that. So all of my friends of color, I really would love to see more inclusion in that way. People of all sizes and abilities. I myself am a curvier girl, and that's cool. But just being able to stand on stage and feel comfortable in singing a love role, singing a role where I am the leading character. Because that happens in real life. So why can't that happen on stage? And some places are very open to that, and some places have no problem casting a person of color, casting a person of size, casting a person of a differing ability, and I award them for that. I think about HGO just because I'm there, and there are people of all shapes, sizes, and colors coming through there, and I'm really grateful to my time at HGO because it has showed me that there is room for diversity and inclusion in the world, in our little mini opera world, and so if they can do it, why can't everybody else? So that I think is really good, and I think included in that is also the inclusion of new works. I love the golden oldies. I love the golden oldies. I mean, I love my Verdi and I love Wagner. He can be problematic, but I love his music.
Do you want to tell us how you feel about Mozart, or are we going to skip over that?
We'll talk about that later. There's a question in there that I have an answer for. I love Strauss. I love Bellini. I love all the bel canto composers. And I think that those stories might be able to be told in a new way that's a little bit more fitting of our current like culture, of our current life, and the people that we are now, and who they versus who they were when they were written. But I think that there's a bigger place for new music. And I read recently, I was reading Maestro Summers, he has a book that came out recently, and what is it, The Spirit of This Place, I think is what it's called. And he talks about how it's baffling that there are so many composers coming out with new works, but even the most prominent works, so in my head I always go to Heggie. I think he mentioned in his book Moby Dick, but even the most prominent composers are still struggling to get their works heard around the world, which to me is fascinating.
I know.
Because some of these stories, I mean, there is music from all eras that is not the greatest, but the stuff that is really good that's being produced, why aren't we producing it?
Yeah.
Why am I not seeing, again, Silent Night, why am I not seeing, like, you know, there's tons and tons of current composers. There's a new opera that came out recently, Blue, about police violence and things like that. And like, why isn't that being shown? And so it's things like that that I wish we would have more of.
Yeah.
I just, you know, we are a different people than during Wagner's time, or during Verdi's time, or Wagner, or any of those composers. And I think that their music still has a place because they're beautiful works that should be preserved, but why are we not showcasing new things? Yeah. There's going to be a hole, I think, if we don't. You know, 200 years from now, like, will there just be no music from the 2000s? Like, is that what the plan is? Or yeah, so that, I think that would be what I would change. Just inclusion in general. Yeah.
I want to give another shout out to both of our mentors that really shaped me and helped me get to where I am, and that's Susan Ashbaker. She covers all of the topics that Lindsay just covered that she has come to in her conclusion there. But, you know, Susan has always, I have had many weight fluctuations in my life. I have been pretty trim, and I have been much heavier than I am now. And Susan has hired me at multiple weights, at multiple levels of comfortability in my own skin. And I will always be grateful to her for that, because she never made me feel like I shouldn't be singing Rodolfo because I was overweight. And I know there's a lot of singers out there that haven't had that experience yet, and I hope that our business gets better in that way, because there are really great houses and companies that are not looking at us in that way and are truly hiring us for the voice and for how we are on stage. And so I'm really thankful for her with that, and the new music. She's always been an advocate for programming new music. So
I'm always a fan of, like, come as you are.
Yeah.
If you can tell a story effectively, I don't care if you're 4'5", 7'6". I don't care if you're 400 pounds, 200 pounds, 52 pounds. Well, don't be 52 pounds maybe, but I don't care I don't care what color you are. I don't care about any of that. I think if you're an effective storyteller, that's what matters. If you can get on stage and you can move people to tears, or you can, like, make them laugh, and you can tell the story in a heartfelt way, I think that's what's more important than, like, what you physically look like, in my opinion.
Thank you so much for tuning in today to part 1 with Lindsay Kate Brown. We look forward to airing part 2 in a few days. Please make sure that you have clicked the subscribe button to make sure you get a notification when that is available. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Stay happy, stay healthy.